All right, what's up, fellas? Yesterday, recorded my first podcast, and in doing so, helped expose a lot of the weaknesses that I still have around public speaking. I want to share some of those lessons with you while I walk to one of my favorite rooftops here in New York City. So, in this podcast, very typical podcast, sat down with one of my friends and he interviewed me. And as these questions came about to me, I realized, now looking back, that I wasn't able to speak to the questions in as a coherent manner as I thought I could. And when I say I thought I could, I'm thinking about, my practice of public speaking. Practice consists of making videos like this and also public speaking lessons that I take. And in going through that practice process, I felt like I've picked up skills where it's helped me become a better speaker. And I'm sure I have picked up those skills. But in that process of picking up skills, you also are unsure about where you stand. And I think often, I certainly fell into this trap. You kind of mistaken where your actual skill sets lie. And so in doing this podcast, I realized there were some skills in presentation, in talking coherently, in giving a clear answer to questions that I still lack and that still kind of collapse when I'm under a little bit of pressure. And there's certainly a little bit of pressure in recording your first podcast. And so I share that to say, you got to find chances to test yourself. As I'm going through the practice of public speaking and presentation, it gave me a false sense of where I stood. Not because I thought I was great, but you feel like you're picking up skills, you're improving, and that you can go out and do the real thing. Well, the reality of it is when you go do the real thing, it can be totally different than your practice. And so that's why it's important to test yourself. I made a video about this last week, and I think it applies to many, many different aspects of life. I saw it first in college when I decided to pursue career in finance and had to really learn how to network with people. I grew up very, very shy, and having conversations with people was not something that came naturally. And so having these coffee chats, having these phone calls with people, I could read all the books that I could about them, which, I did some, but I saw the biggest growth when I actually went out and just spoke to people. And the first few conversations, let me tell you, were awkward as hell. They were not great conversations, and I could feel the energy not being there. But it was only going through that, you have to go through that. Here we are. Little old stomping grounds. You have to go through that in order to be able to do the real thing. There's no amount of books or me sit in my room and practicing my elevator pitch that would get me to being a good networker or just good speaker. And so, I see that here today as well. In my last video, I tested myself doing the 1 mile, running a 1 mile as fast as I can. And I had previously tested myself and ran something like just under 5 minutes. And I tested myself a few weeks ago, so like a few months had passed, and during that time I was training and definitely felt like my fitness improved. But had I not tested myself, I would have mistaken that fitness improving for me already reaching my goals. So testing yourselves gives you this incredible opportunity to fail. And failing is important because you see exactly where you are, it holds you accountable, and you realize what work you still need to be doing. You're not lying to yourself about where you need to be. And that's exactly what this podcast did for me. Not only was it just an incredible experience, but it also allowed me a chance to fail, to show myself exactly where I stood in terms of this skill set that I'm developing. And now I know, can't lie to myself that I'm good at it, and I go back to the drawing board and work on it. here we are. It's my old apartment. Still one of my favorite views of New York. You have downtown, FiDi over there, One World Trade Center. Then you come over here, beep, beep, beep. Fast forward, and you can see Uptown, Midtown, Empire State Building, One Vanderbilt, and the new JP Morgan Tower. It's actually kind of incredible. You can see everything. I don't have as good as the view as my new place. But this is the old stomping grounds, fellas. Woo! All right, fellas. Hope you enjoyed. Go out there and test yourself, whatever it is, the skill that you're working on. Go out there, do the actual thing, and see where you stand.